Hello, my witchy friends. It's Victory ASMR. And I thought that today we'd kick it kind of old school with Witchology Magazine. Now, the channel kind of started with flip throughs of books, and I get a lot of requests for them. So I thought we would just sit back, relax, and look at this issue together. The lovely folks at Witchology Magazine sent me some issues, and I'm going to look at them with my handy dandy magnifying glass and a couple of other tools. So here's my magnifying glass. This was gifted to me by my lovely friends for Christmas. You can see that candle and the cover. Just how luscious that cover is. My goodness. So pretty. The handle is made of kind of like a gold leaf material of some sort, though I'm not certain. And it's very heavy. You can see all those beautiful florals on there. And the model, equally as gorgeous. So I'm excited to flip through this with you today. This over here, I also have a pointer. If you watched my Slavic folklore video, you're quite familiar, I'm sure, with it. But it's a nice way to follow what I'm reading. It's actually a letter opener, but I use it as a pointer to do things like this. The botanical issue. A celebration of flowers. And this is technically the summer issue of the magazine. But it reminds me a lot of spring. So, without further ado, we should make some space here. And open up the magazine. Now, if you're new here, please subscribe and join the coven. We are a very friendly and welcoming bunch. I'm a witchcraft historian, and I love witchy things in general. So there's a little bit of everything in my videos. Okay, so we have this beautiful first page here. So we have fair folk trade, eco-friendly fae furniture, whimsical antiques, home goods, crystal balls and charms. Okay. And there's some fairies kind of around the outside of the page. And then it starts with a letter from the team. And I always like to read these. They're always fascinating. So this one says, I'll take my pointer. Welcome to the botanical issue. After a fiery start to the new astrological year, followed by an intense eclipse season, we are thoroughly enjoying the more laid-back, sunny days of summer. the energy is potent and filled with possibility, potential, and hope. Nature bursts forth, and we're surrounded by abundance and the results of our workings from earlier in the year. Interesting. Workings from earlier in the year. Okay, and so they've called it the botanical issue, as it is filled with ways that you can work with the plants and herbs of the season. Choose the right florals for your spell work with Steffi Devon before making summery tea blends for with Susan Tuttle. We also have a lush coconut rose bath recipe. I'm excited for that. From Ali Sansa's new book, along with the gorgeous lavender and lemon vegan ice cream from a resident kitchen witch. Make sure to follow our contributors on social media. Okay, and that's not all. We have a wonderfully eclectic range of articles. There's these really pretty florals in the center as well. And it says, "Blessed be the Witchology team." Okay, look at this table of contents. Quite a few things I'm interested in here. Witchy musicians, the language of flowers, a puppet spell, garden witchery guide, glamour grimoire, I don't know what that means, witchcraft cocktails. Yeah, all looks really tempting and lovely. And then we have a horoscope section. Look at this beautiful name, Fairly Theta. Maybe we'll read one of the horoscopes. So let's do Aquarius. You may think that you see the big picture, Aquarius, but life is rarely as objective as you think. Your generosity may feel like charity to those around you. Instead of providing what you think they need, listen closely and give according to their desires, even if it seems frivolous or out of line with your experience. This season, put others into the spotlight who ask you to take their needs to heart. You may be surprised to see just how much a life improves through unconditional love rather than total revolution. And look at this beautiful image. Wow. I love the 70s style print that she's wearing. So pretty. Those big florals, those big bold florals. I would wear that. And these gorgeous sunglasses as well. Just daisies. I would wear them too. I always feel like leaning into 70s style this time of year. I don't know what it is, but very, very, very pretty. I love it. Horoscopes. So, they usually have a pretty, bountiful horoscope section. Okay, seasonal summaries by Anthony Perrotta. And there's quite a few here. Summer season, Leo. So the summer season begins in the northern hemisphere. Not quite yet. The days are long with brightened hues of solar radiance. The earth is warm and lush, welcoming the light that casts edges and curves. There is always a feeling of fullness at this time of year, where the ongoing brilliance seeps into the skin, our blood, and our souls. This reaches a pinnacle where the solstice sets the tone of the seasonal air. Cancer, Leo, and Virgo rule this time of year, nurture, express, and embody. This places significance on the luminaries as well as the messenger who lead the months and weeks ahead. Okay. So we've got Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Interesting. And there's this beautiful picture of a fern as well here, kind of a like dried out fern. And we can see its little fronds. Really, really pretty. I like the purple background as well. This kind of gives a pop of color. Ooh, Mandragora. I am definitely going to read this article or part of it to you at least. Okay. So it's by Ella Harrison. She writes for them quite a bit. And there's a nice picture of it there. Fascinating. Okay, so the mandrake. The mandrake has been at the root of fascination in the occult and magical spaces for centuries. Maybe that's why it's revered and feared, perhaps. Magical spaces for centuries, lending itself to countless myths and stories in folklore, both revered and feared, throughout history. Its twisted anthropomorphic roots have led to numerous legends and beliefs about the plant's supernatural abilities, from being dressed up and honored in German homes to being used by midwives as abortives and by witches to fly to the Sabbath. The mandrake may just be the most famous magical plant in Europe. This is but a brief glance at what lies hidden, only to be uncovered only by those who dare. Okay. Belonging to the nightshades, Solanaceae, the two most famous of the family of five are the Mandragora officinarum. Like many in the Solanaceae family, they contain active alkaloids, which make the plant highly poisonous at even small doses. Yet blessing and bane grow on the stalk, and the plant has been used in medicine for centuries. In ancient Greece, it was used prior to surgeries as an early anesthetic. It was even used by midwives. Okay, one of its common names is Alran. The German name is commonly thought to have connections to the Germanic Cirrus albruna from Tacitus's Germania. However, a more likely etymological tie could be the Old High German albruna. Okay. So some etymology. The mandrake is indeed associated with the sight and flying in spirit. It was theorized to have been used in the traditional flying ointments. This is so true. As part of several ingredients. A salve used by witches to fly to the Sabbath to consort with the devil. Yeah, this is great. Some historically accurate info. Or so the lore goes. Several scholars have experimented with the mandrake and have recorded the sensation of flying or levitation, as well as induced hallucinations. The sensation is not a pleasant one, as one might expect from the devil's lettuce. This makes the mandrake more suitable for topical ointments or potentially as part of rituals. Fascinating. This connection to magic and the liminal continues to spread throughout history and various cultures via folklore. And then a certain British wizard story that shall not be named famously included the screaming mandrake. Yes, that shall not be named. And then it gives you some info on harvesting a mandrake, the sheer menace of the plant, the horrific scream that it's purported to give off. Okay, so hence, what the mandrake root is known for most is its anthropomorphic shape, meaning it resembles a human with its legs and arms made of thick roots. Many instances of folklore, anthropomorphic objects of all manner would be used for sympathetic magic. One such example is the German folk tradition of keeping a mandrake root as a house spirit, even dressing it up and bringing it offerings. Interesting. In some regions, it was believed to own and use one was to enter into a pact with the devil. While the lore surrounding the mystical root is vast, so is the counterfeit market. Interesting. Even into the 16th and 17th century. Bryonia, the true mandragora. So to work with the mandrake is to tread a path of dark mystery that only few dare to seek. The allure of it has been persevered over time. Those who feel the calling of it are often dearly rewarded, if they're serious and willing to listen to what the mandragora may teach. And it says to not ingest it, obviously, without professional supervision. Okay, so we have an article here on Persian folklore and fairy magic. From Fairies to Fairies, exploring the unexpected connection of Persian folklore to fairy magic. And we've got the history of fairy portrayal in Europe, pagan portrayal, Midsummer Night's Dream depiction of fairies, resembling that of Persian folklore, it looks like. So making connections with Persian mythology, which might have inspired Shakespeare's Fairy Queen. Since then, fairy magic and folklore have seen many changes, which have affected our modern perceptions of fairies. Fascinating. And we have the Renaissance, medieval period, the Romantic period, in Persian mythology. Curious about the Romantic period. The Romantic period, by contrast, fairies began to be portrayed as angel-like guides and human companions, reflecting dreamy and innocent ideals of the era. Passion for magical realms and creatures was revised in art and literature. Modern depictions continued to be controversial as they reflected changes to societal norms. Okay. And then fairies in the media. Persian roots are in just about everything, which is a really neat premise for an article. And we have fairy magic today. So, quite an informative article. Oh, I absolutely love making sun tea. I really should do a video on making sun tea. Look at this big S U N T E A. Gorgeous design. Let's take the magnifying glass and take a close look at that sun tea jar. So beautiful. My goodness. You can see all the elements in there. There's lots of different ways to do it. We'll check out Susan Tuttle's method. I'll definitely give you a recipe for little sun tea. Okay, so we'll use this as a little page rest, I guess. So Litha is the neo-pagan Sabbath that coincides with the summer solstice, the first day of summer and the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. Although it is considered to be a minor Sabbath for pagan and witchy folk, for many it's an observance of the peak of the solar god Oak King's power. The Oak King reigns from winter to summer, while the Holly King reigns from summer to winter. Litha is a holiday that celebrates the union of the god and goddess. They talk about how they like to take a moment to turn inward for reflection, which is a great way to celebrate Litha. Associated with the themes of life and abundance, historically linked to agriculture, and the plant world, the animal kingdom, crops, fertility, a little bit of etymology here, lots of background information, and it says the celebrations were for abundance, and that's one of the biggest themes, especially when you're making a sun tea. The sun appears to stand still, rising and setting in the same spot of the sky for a stretch of a few days, providing lots of light for brewing this sun tea. In fact, did you know solstice comes from the Latin solstitium, which translates to sun stands still? Okay, so you'll need a quart or half-gallon mason jar, water, vanilla extract, honey, an assortment of fresh herbs and blossoms. And then, of course, she's asking you to consider the magical properties in the herbs, which is an important part of any sun tea ritual. Dandelion, comfrey, blue violet leaves, valerian blossoms, strawberry mint, peppermint, lemon balm, rose petals, all of these things. You can kind of use just what you have available to you, but consider those magical properties, she's saying, which is true for any spell work that you're doing. So, yeah, this is a beautiful recipe. I will definitely have to show you how I do it. It's really good for, as she says, love, peace, healing, and protection. An important part of any spell work. So, yeah, that was a really gorgeous recipe. Okay, so they always have a tarot section in the magazine, so you can kind of experiment with your tarot spreads, and they have lots of tips and tricks that are usually themed. So it looks like this is about queens in the tarot, the Empress and queens in the tarot, and the rising of the feminine. Yes, the rising of the feminine. So learning how to master the queens in tarot. Ooh, this is on Death is Not the End, how past life regression can combat the fear of death. And a really beautiful flame picture here. Look at that big candle and tall wick and large flame. Very, very pretty with that aura of light surrounding it. Oh, and then we have 6 witchy musicians you probably haven't heard of by Emma Cowley. The big 6 there. Witchy musicians. You probably haven't heard of. They always do this, and I love this. From Satanic Doo-Wop to Tribal Doom, here are 6 often overlooked bands that every witchy music lover should have on their playlist. Okay, so what's the soundtrack to your magical practice? Whether you love playlists for rituals, mixtapes for kitchen witchery, or CDs burned for long and rambling nature walks, bringing music into your practice is a fabulous way to raise energy or to conjure the right mood. And witchy music is abundant when you know where to look. I actually use a tape deck. So I use a tape deck for my ritual practice. I'll have to tell you about that sometime. Yeah. So it says we've summoned up a list of them. They're not all new and not all old. Instead, they're a cross of interesting artists that don't come up often in occult metal music. Runs the gamut of genres, from bouncy doo-wop to tribal doom and black metal, inspired by the wilds of California. Slip your headphones on and give these witchy bands a spin. So we have Twin Temple, number 1. Twin Temple turns their live performances into fully fledged rituals, complete with spangled ritual garb and swords, kind of like 50s and 60s Americana laced with satanic ideology, catchy, upbeat, and wickedly fun. And then Myrkur, named after the Icelandic word for darkness, Copenhagen band. Looks like another black metal band, which isn't really my thing, but perfect for magical foraging. Number 3 is Wolf People, love child of Black Sabbath and Jethro Tull. And it says there's kind of a bluesy, folksy, like undertone to it. So very cool. And yeah, nature-based pagan folk lyrics over groovy blues and more fuzz than a baby duckling. That sounds kind of like up my alley. A little bit better than metal. They're on hiatus. Okay, well, what else do we have here? Falk de Mitzernera. It's a Barcelona-based band. Looks like they're the ones pictured here. And yeah, there's a little bit of background here. They use traditional folk instruments like flutes and antique crottle bells, which all sit atop fuzzed up guitars and tribal fusion beats. They say that their music channels the hidden world. And we have Blood Ceremony, a Toronto band. And they do 70s prog rock, it sounds like. So, singing about arcane British pagan rites over dark rock melodies, punctuated by acid folk flute. Fascinating. And Sar, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Sar, Caledonian, folk metal, black metal, powerful stirring combination, it says. Fascinating. Okay, well, see, you can always get some interesting recommendations. And then on this page, they have Coven Market. Highlights from our witch economy. So there's a couple products. Something that kind of looks like a Ouija board of some sort. Calls it a Spiritus Tabula. Okay. And place cards. And then a nourishing herbal serum by In the Wood Botanicals, which looks lovely, hand foraged kind of thing. I wish it was a bigger section. I really like learning about it. And then we have Lilith Dorsey. A kind of like profile of a person. I thought I'd heard of Katie Moon before, but I don't know that I've heard of Lilith Dorsey. But this looks like a really interesting article about accessibility and practice. So it's a community spotlight article. And then we have a big centerfold spread with these gorgeous flowers. The pink color is really appealing. I love them. Let's take a closer look with the magnifying glass. So pretty. Yeah. Really, really, really beautiful. And we have a scoop of flora, it says, by Emina Gracious. This looks so beautiful. So this is the vegan ice cream recipe. And look at this luscious tableau that they've set out. It says, envision this humid summer nights on flower-covered cobblestone streets, which elicit the most beautiful aroma. May not be able to venture there physically, but a scoop of this ice cream might send us there mentally. This ice cream is a delicious treat made of nature's perfume, featuring a fragrant base of lavender, rose, and basil. And when paired with buttered peaches and a botanical syrup of mint and elderflower, it's like summer in a scoop. I love rose flavored things like so much. I wish that more rose flavored things were made in my culture anyway, because I just love the flavor of floral ice cream. But you've got ingredients for the buttered peaches, the floral syrup, the ice cream base, and then some garnish options as well. Pistachio, raspberries, pomegranate seeds, and edible flowers. Then there's a magical method, so it's kind of like spell casting. I would love to try that recipe. And then an article by Casey Giovinco on pride, so some more things about community. And there's even some like endnotes here, which is pretty impressive. Lots of research done. And the Glamour Grimoire by Gabriela Rosales. So selecting a color palette, step 1. Okay, step 2, packing crystals and other supportive tools. Step 3, traveling altar, which is something that I really should have. And veiling, something that I do all the time. Okay, and an article on the language of flowers by Steffi Devon. I am super interested in the Victorian language of flowers, and actually, this looks like a great article on it. So it talks about florography, or the language of flowers. Uses flowers and bouquets to create messages filled with meaning. Witches can use florography in spells, petitions, and offerings. And then it says, author's note, these examples are taken from the Victorian language of flowers. There are many languages of flowers around the world. Choose the one that resonates with your practice and your cultural heritage. Okay. And it's true, like a lot of our understandings of the language of flowers comes from Victorian flower language, especially what we do in our spellcraft. So very fascinating. And it talks about growing flowers native to you. Start with flowers native to your area. Ones that you grow. If you cast protection spells, check which flowers carry the meaning that you want. And pick ones that you can easily acquire. And what else? A little bit more about casting a spell here. Crafting a petition. Okay. That's what the meanings and messages behind it. And disposing of flowers, like what to do with them. You can keep the bouquet yourself or give it to the person you're bespelling. Though it says be mindful of ethics. In the cocktail or mocktail section, I have made some of the cocktails and mocktails from this magazine before, and they've turned out really, really well. So I highly recommend if you subscribe to try them. So it looks really refreshing and nice. Looks like it's a serene solar ritualized recipe. And it's meant to evoke summertime, heat, light, energies, joy, purification, inspiration, all of that. Very cool. And a environment article. There's usually an article on environmental concerns in witchcraft. And Carla's Garden Witchery Guide. Well, this is by the Aunt Carla. So amazing. And this gives you a guide on herbs that you might use in your garden and also in your practice. So intersecting those things, all about garden witchery, hardiness zones, using plants and herbs to create magical effects. A plant's ability to grow, reproduce, and adapt to its environment reflects its spiritual nature. By growing your own plants, you can connect with their natural magic and enhance your spiritual well-being. And it says, obviously, oils and herbs that you imbue with your energy are part of any balanced practice. If you're unable to practice magic due to lack of time or privacy, using your magical herbs for cooking turns garden witchery into kitchen witchery. And it's true. I've always believed that you can infuse your practice with things you grow in your garden, and that ends up being the same. Casual, everyday practice, right? So, stuff on planning, choosing an area for your garden, and then choosing witchy herbs. And we have a list here. So we have basil and calendula. Looks like we have chamomile. These are all things that I try to grow as well. Hyssop, lavender, mint, mugwort, oregano, rosemary, sage, sage and thyme, and then yarrow as well. It's kind of hard to get some of these in my area, but they're all really useful herbs to have. There's even some tips on watering your garden as well, and this really pretty illustration of a bridge in a garden. Looks kind of English to me, to be honest, but it says this is by no means a complete list of witchy herbs. Keep a plant journal as part of recording your experiences with growing the herbs. And it says you can connect with the spirit of an herb, even if you buy it from a nursery and you don't grow it on your own. Okay, and then we have some tips on fertilizing your garden. You can make your own homemade fertilizer. I've never done this, but I've always wanted to because fertilizer is a really expensive thing. And of course, during a full moon, you have to add compost, nettle leaves, and it says a tablespoon of yeast. And that's how you make your compost. So not terribly difficult. Like I always usually have nettle leaves on hand and yeast. So but you need the compost first. There's some more suggested reading, incorporating the phases of the moon. There's this pesticide too, which is interesting. Garlic, chili peppers, Castile soap, and a spray bottle. And then, the phases of the moon. Look how beautiful this model is. My goodness. She has a gorgeous facial structure. But yeah, I like how the background of the shot's kind of like fuzzy. And then in the foreground is very clear and sharp. Super pretty. And here's that coconut rose bath. And this is by Ali Sands. So coconut rose bath. And this is a pretty elaborate recipe. Like, there's a lot going on in that bath. My goodness. Oh, it says it gives you some basic ingredients. So we've got rose petals, rose buds, strawberries, raspberries, hibiscus flowers, the catnip sprigs, saffron, honeysuckle, honey, a pink candle, coconut milk powder, garnet stone, jasper stone, and rose quartz. So, like, there are a lot of different things you can add to this bath, but I really should do a video on my own ritual baths that I do. Oh, and look how delicious this cake looks. Oh my goodness. So this is an orange you glad magical cake. And looks like it has a couple layers as well. And so I like that with the recipes they show you magical properties. It looks like there's candied violets on the top. I should really show how to candy violets or make syrup. I love them. They're so delicious. So good. Looks like there's orange zest, of course, because it's an orange cake. And then they always have a like tree profile. So yeah, this is on the oak tree. I love oak trees. It's a pretty lengthy article. Oak trees can live for up to 1,000 years. They're classed as ancient from 400 years upwards. Their wood is durable, hard-wearing. It can be polished to reveal a beautiful pattern of green. The bark is rich in tannin, making it useful to the leather tanning process. And the harmless oak gall deformities can be used to make black ink. I actually did not know that. So, things that you didn't know, you get to learn about through Witchology. And we have a sunshine healing poppet spell. I love that they have some instructional magic on poppets. I'm so interested in puppetry. Showing the herb mixture you can put in there, supplies, how to cast your spell. I'm very interested in British folklore, so seeing British witches like Kath Wallace here talk about puppetry is magical. It preserves the tradition. This is sunshine healing puppet spell. And yeah, there's all sorts of herbs you can put in there. There's a list there. I have a kitchen witch puppet because I'm very into kitchen witchery. And so is Kat here. So very, very cool to see this in the magazine. With the oldest methods of folk magic found in many different cultures and countries. The human drive to recreate our own image can be dated back thousands of years to effigies. And when crafting a puppet, we create a doll to represent ourselves as a form of sympathetic or imitative magic. So yeah, this is a healing spell of sorts. Lots on fairy magic and sprites here as well. This is just their section on practice. And the inner child of summer days. So working with the energy of Leo season for inner child healing. So they give you spell suggestions and rituals and inner child work. Create a powder of sorts. And it depends on the moon cycles. This is what I mean. This magazine is so thorough and enjoyable to read. And inspiring if you're feeling a little bit like blah in your practice. Or just feeling like you need inspiration, but you don't know where to start. Look at this lovely rose-colored candle, too. Look at it kind of close up. It's so pretty. I love it. Okay, and it continues. So you can use a cauldron as part of the tools for this. And yeah, lots of context on candle magic. I just did a video on Ostara and the spring equinox and candle magic if you'd like to watch. It's the first time I've shown my practice on camera, so. Then they even have a film section, so that's interesting. It's on Gretel and Hansel, which I have not seen, but I really love this cabin, the way that it's illuminated from the inside. See what's going on, the fog and the trees and all of that. Pretty. Oh, and then they have a longer piece on witchcraft and the economy. What it can teach us about the economy, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Digital witchcraft isn't immune from corruption and exploitation. Okay. And it's true, they're talking about the market for witchcraft, how it's become commodified outside of practice. Witch starter packs, Urban Outfitters, like the witch is having a moment, which is true. Witchcraft is having a moment, but it's been having a moment for thousands of years. So we're just really noticing now because we're super interconnected. Yeah, fascinating. I really want to read this one in the article, or this article in the bathtub. And this beautiful, beautiful mushroom illustration on this side as well. Take a look a little bit closer here. So pretty. Kind of looks like little eyes, like her forest spirits or sprites or something at the bottom. Super cute. I love that. I would almost clip this out and put it on the wall. And then a bit on digital witchcraft and divinations. And seems to be kind of related to the other article. Oh, and I think that's it. That's all that's left in here. Wow, okay. And we have that same continuation of the spread from before. And yeah, so that is the magazine. On the back, there's just a picture of the cover, but without the text. And then, yeah, you can get an idea of how big the magazine actually is. This is one of my favorites, and I subscribe to a lot. I just love the variety of content and how carefully curated it is. It's really, really beautiful. So thank you to the folks at Witchology for sending me copies of the magazine for videos. It means the world to me. And if you have any recommendations for other magazines I should read to do with witchcraft, please leave them in the comments below. And I hope that you've been having a great week and that you have a very restful and peaceful sleep. Thank you so much for watching. I adore you all. I am so lucky to be here. And I'll see you again